This is the therapeutic story called The Space Between the Moon and the Stars, written by Beate Steller and read by Beate Steller. A long time ago, there lived a young woman who was known for being so helpful to all the life and people around her. Wherever Helpy went, she would carry other people's burdens and problems. And whenever she left a place, people commented how much lighter they felt. However, Helpy's legs had become tired and heavy. They had been carrying many stories and other people's burdens for many, many years. Sometimes she could not even feel her own limbs anymore, and she started to wobble while trying to stand upright, and she often was dizzy. Helpy was popular and always had people around her, and one day her friend said to her, "Have you seen the amazing moon and stars lately? There is so much space out there in the universe, and if you want to see them, you must wait till it's very dark. I can stand on one leg and reach out and feel balanced in so much space." Well, Helpy's heart sang with joy when her friend was talking about the space between the moon and the stars, and had not felt that lightness in her heart for a very long time. She also noticed her friend was steadily balanced on one leg as she told Helpy her story. That night, Helpy waited till everyone was asleep and it was very dark, and she left the house and crept to the clearing at the edge of the bushland, and then opened her eyes wide and looked up to the night sky. There were no moon or stars sparkling up in the space, and her heart was not singing. Her head dropped and she noticed a heavy weight around her shoulder. Had the moon and the stars fallen on her shoulders too? As Helpy was standing in the clearing, she heard the night owl hooting in a tree near her. As Helpy was standing in the clearing, she heard the night owl hooting in a tree near her, calling her close and offering some owl wisdom. "Ooh, the only way you can see them is to go back to the dark spot in the clearing, close your eyes, and go deep inside yourself and deep into the silence of the night. This will help you find the space." "Ooh." Then the owl said, "You might have to do this a number of times before you can see the moon and the stars and the space between them." The next day, the young woman waited till it was very dark and crept out to the clearing again. She did not look up, but instead closed her eyes and went down deep into the inner silence, the inner space. She kept her eyes shut for a long time. Then, after it had become completely silent inside her, she opened her eyes slowly. However, Helpy's heart did not sing. She felt lost and frightened. She still had the feeling of the weight of the moon and the stars on her shoulders. And then she remembered that the wise owl had said to her, "You might have to do this a number of times." And so Helpy crept back to her home and returned the next night and the next night and the next night. And after doing this many times, one evening, as she opened her eyes, she saw that the moon and the stars were way up high in the universe. They were sparkling and there was lots of space between them. She had never seen anything like this before. She didn't feel lost anymore. Her heart was singing with a soft voice, and she stayed with that tender melody as she felt balanced. The heaviness that had been sitting on her shoulders had disappeared, and as she looked down, she noticed she had shifted the weight of her legs and she was balancing on one leg, just like her friend had told her she would. everything that had belonged in the cosmos, the moon and the stars. They had returned back to the space. She'd forgotten that this is where they had always belonged. Now she remembered, and her heart was singing. I wrote this therapeutic story just over 7 months ago after I was diagnosed with PTSD caused by vicarious and accumulative trauma. And as a professional and simply as a human being, I have supported people throughout trauma and loss and grief for many years. I've had been feeling dizzy and exhausted for a while and did not recognize these signs as symptoms in myself. And then one day I heard a story that triggered me and I was brought to a sudden stop. I lost the physical connection with my legs and had to seek medical help. This is when I was diagnosed by a very insightful young medico, reassuring me that with the help I could rewire my brain, strengthen my personal boundaries and refocus my life-work balance. The PTSD had the potential to be transformed into post-traumatic growth. It meant undergoing a life-changing psychological shift in thinking and relating to the world, which would contribute to a personal process of change that is deeply meaningful. I was very committed to this inner work and had support along the way. However, it was the process of writing a therapeutic story for myself that totally and unexpectedly released a huge shift in my thinking and relating to the world. It has been a profound shift and breakthrough. The resolution of my therapeutic story literally restored harmony and balance in my life. I thank Susan Perrow for encouraging me to write my own therapeutic story that enabled a profound healing shift in my life that had become out of balance. I highly recommend the workshop on therapeutic story writing and the process of using creative metaphors to deconstruct and reconstruct life challenges in a healing way. Susan teaches with deep passion and conviction. Thank you, and my gratitude is to all. Thank you.